What if the arcane intellect that defines your worth is actually the cage keeping you from the visceral truth of your own body? And true mastery requires not transcending physicality, but embracing the weight of steel as an extension of spellwork. In Wizard with a Greatsword, Amelia Crawford delivers a progression fantasy that shatters the glass cannon trope into a profound exploration of embodied magic, proving that in systems built on cerebral hierarchy, the most radical act is letting your muscles remember what your mind was taught to forget. This isn't merely another genre-blending adventure with flashy hybrids. It's a psychologically precise narrative where every swing of the blade feels like both heresy and homecoming. Consent to power is negotiated through somatic awareness rather than intellectual dominance, and growth means honoring the warrior within the scholar without demanding either disappear. From the first rune-etched narration, listeners are immersed in a world where magic and might aren't opposites, they're two languages for the same longing. Perfect for fans of character-driven cultivation fiction and stories where female strength defies categorical boundaries, this audiobook serves up atmospheric wonder, relentless emotional honesty, and a protagonist whose journey from fragile prodigy to integrated sovereign resonates with anyone who's ever been told their body is secondary to their mind. When Academy outcast Alara Vance is expelled for unorthodox magical expression, she expects exile, not to discover her forbidden fusion of greatsword combat and elemental weaving mirrors an ancient tradition erased by patriarchal orthodoxy. But as Alara navigates wilderness trials and institutional scorn, she realizes this path isn't about rebellion, it's about reclamation. Crawford masterfully avoids reducing Alara to defiant underdog or the sword to symbolic phallus. Instead, she crafts a narrative where physical training becomes spiritual practice, where consent is renegotiated through bodily autonomy rather than doctrinal permission, and where liberation requires integrating disciplines that were forcibly separated. The audiobook narration amplifies this emotional precision, capturing Alara's disciplined intellect softening into embodied clarity, while secondary voices shift subtly between dogmatic dismissal and hidden recognition, making every encounter feel like both test and invitation. You don't just hear her ascend, you feel the seismic shift of a woman learning that true power lives in the space between thought and motion. What elevates Wizard with a Greatsword beyond typical hybrid class fare is its nuanced portrayal of martial magic as feminist praxis rather than aesthetic novelty. Alara isn't merely combining skills, she's confronting how academic culture taught her to equate worth with mental output, challenging the notion that femininity requires fragility. Her relationships evolve through acts of radical reciprocity, sharing silences during sparring sessions that bypass verbal instruction, establishing training protocols that protect both physical safety and emotional integrity, and defending fellow outliers from traditionalists who mistake conformity for competence. Supporting characters add vital texture, retired warriors whose bodies encode suppressed wisdom, scholars whose curiosity masks institutional fear, even the great sword itself, rendered as living archive, whose balance holds memories of women who wielded both word and weapon. Every interaction reinforces the novel's core truth. In systems built on division, integration is insurgency, and presence is the only true mastery. Even the progression mechanics serve thematic depth, with skill trees mirroring psychological unification and breakthroughs becoming metaphors for embodied sovereignty. For audiobook listeners, this production is an immersive sensory descent into kinetic intimacy. The narrator embodies Ilara's evolution with remarkable range, from clipped academic precision to grounded physical certainty, while supporting characters are distinguished through vocal textures that honor diverse expressions of strength without caricature. Sound design enhances atmosphere without overwhelming immersion. Distant steel rings, marking rhythmic discipline, rain against forest canopy during vulnerable confessions, and the hushed breath syncing with blade arcs during moments of flow, all anchor mythic stakes in tangible reality. Whether you're commuting through sedentary routines or moving through active days, the audiobook creates a portable dojo where slowness feels sacred and embodiment feels lifeline. It's storytelling as somatic validation, transforming passive listening into active participation in a journey where ascension isn't about rising above the body, but about rooting deeper within it. Ultimately, Wizard with a Greatsword redefines progression fantasy by centering female embodiment within hybrid frameworks. It satisfies genre cravings for satisfying advancement and high-stakes tension, while delivering substantive commentary on mind-body dualism, masculine-coded power structures, and the radical act of trusting your whole self when systems demand fragmentation. No prior series knowledge is needed. It stands confidently as a complete emotional odyssey. If you've ever wondered whether strength can coexist with intellect, or if true mastery requires embracing what others separate, this audiobook will affirm that sometimes the most powerful spell is simply holding your ground. Press play, grip the hilt, and prepare to believe that even in landscapes shaped by division, wholeness still finds ways to emerge. Your next favorite progression tale isn't waiting in flawless specialization, it's waiting in the brave, trembling choice to be fully, fiercely integrated.